Where did the Dodgers get all this money? It's a good question. And I think a lot of teams around baseball are asking the same thing. And now that Jeff Passan has come on the record and said there are going to be heavy players in this Kyle Tucker sweepstakes, how does that make you feel? Is that bad for the direction of the game? And also, can the Cubs step up and spend some cash? We're going to get into that. Cubs apparently still talking to the Kansas City Royals about a couple of pitchers, starter Seth Lugo and closer Carlos Estevez. One or both of those guys could make a huge difference in this rotation moving forward. All that right here on the Cubs Baseball channel. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Thank you for being here as we talk Cubs baseball on a daily basis. Let's get this show started. Peace, everybody. Mick Gillespie, Cubs Baseball Channel, brought to you by AveD. And we have a winner in our first hat giveaway. So some of you guys want to buy them. All you got to do is just inbox me at Broadcaster Mick on any of the socials, and I can sell you one, or you can win one. That QR code right there, AveD, play along, and then get in the comment section here. All right, let's talk about the first thing, and that is Kyle Tucker to the LA Dodgers. The Dodgers are going all in on a super team, and they're in the World Series again this year, and I think they're going to win the World Series. You know, we'll see, but they won it last year. They won it in 2020, and they're starting to become that team who reminds us of the Yankees, just going out and spending more money than everybody else. And look, it's paid off. I mean, they've won in the international free agency game. They got Shohei Ohtani, remember that sweepstakes, and they just keep on adding guys. And now John Heyman says that don't be surprised to find out that the Dodgers are interested in the top free agent in the market. I'm not surprised. I mean, you know, you're talking about a guy who's going to be sought after by a bunch of teams. But I guess we look at it as, you know, what would this mean to the Cubs? If the Cubs don't get Tucker, their chances, as far as Vegas go, to get back to the postseason or contend for a World Series go way down. That's what a difference maker he is. Are the Cubs willing to spend that kind of money? I mean, you're talking about maybe $400 million or more. And if he would have had a better season, it probably would have been more than that. You're talking about the Phillies. I'm talking about the Giants. You know, who knows? Maybe the Yankees are going to get into the mix here. So there's going to be a bidding war for Kyle Tucker, I would guess. You know, the crazy thing, though, is a few years ago was Cody Bellinger that we thought was going to get a lot of money, and he didn't. You know, so maybe the market won't be as robust for Tucker as it was for Juan Soto. Maybe it won't be Vlad Guerrero Jr. But are the Cubs willing to go out and spend some money? I read a story in The Athletic where they were basically like, hey, it's time to take the shackles off and let Jed Hoyer spend. Now, the Cubs used to have a top 3 payroll, right? I think there was a year where, like, at a particular time of the year, they had the top payroll. But those days are gone. The payroll doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to win. I've never thought that. Spending money means that you're guaranteed to win. But if you spend it on the right players, then you can win. And I think that's part of this that you got to remember. Like, you know, you go out, you get Shohei Ohtani, it's the best player in baseball, and it's not even close when he's pitching. Then you add Freddie Freeman, then you go get Mookie Betts, and then you get guys that have won Cy Young awards. You stockpile great players, you're going to win. You still got to go out there and perform. But you saw the Dodgers kind of built their team from within. I think the Brewers built their team from within. I think if the Brewers would have been healthier, probably would have been a different series. But if the Cubs would have been healthier, they would have played the Dodgers anyway. I mean, that's just the way it goes in baseball. We'll see, though. I'm hearing rumblings that there could be a big-time labor strife between the owners and the players next time the contract comes up. And the way that the Dodgers are spending is bothering some of the players. Why aren't all the teams spending like this? But I'm sure that quietly the owners are probably thinking the same thing. Why are the Dodgers going out there and spending? We need a salary cap. What's going to happen? Yeah, I don't know. The strikes have done nothing but hurt the game of baseball. And I hope that that's not the direction that things go, right? I would love to see the owners and the players take this giant pile of money that they have and work it out from between them. Now, the TV contracts are different because the TV deals that they were giving out just aren't there anymore. And it's because of streaming, it's because of programming. There's a lot of reasons why. Some of it is that the people that are running the networks have no clue what you as fans want. They're just there. And they don't have the most important thing with those jobs is knowing your audience. And you'd be shocked at the people that are in charge that have no clue. But there's obstacles. Like when the Dodgers built their network, they did it the right way. But at the same time, they got in before, the business changed a lot. So you didn't have to do things perfectly to be successful. And they've turned themselves into baseball's biggest international brand, more than the Yankees, more than the Red Sox, more than the Cubs, because they're winning right now. And they've got the best player in the world from Japan and all that stuff. So will Kyle Tucker go to the Dodgers? I would not be shocked. He may take less money to go play there, knowing that he's got a chance to win a World Series. So I know that's going to bother some of you guys. John Heyman obviously covering that. And, we'll keep an eye on that as well. Hey, don't forget to hit that QR code right there, AveD, Mick Nation. Hit the QR code and play the games. We got World Series picks. We got football picks. We give away cash prizes each week. And also, we've got gear, including this really stylish hat. So make sure that you guys hit that. And thank you for being here to hang out. Be a part of Mick Nation. We're not a flash in the pan, Mick Nation. All right, let's talk about the Cubs and what direction they may go as far as free agency is concerned. Okay, let's talk trades. We kind of hit free agency, but I want to talk trades. And when I look at, and I start hearing these rumors that the Cubs are talking to the Royals about Seth Lugo or Carlos Estevez, I would not be shocked. Last year, remember, the Cubs were talking about adding Seth Lugo. And I want to start with Lugo just because that's one that, I heard about last year and am not shocked in the least bit that they wouldn't go right back that direction again, right? Lugo is a pitcher who would really fit in well with the Cubs, and we saw him last season. Lugo, who is a guy that has been on a few different teams in his career, made his debut with the Mets in 2016, and a couple years ago, he was one of the best pitchers in baseball. He was a guy who came in second in the Cy Young Award, American League Cy Young Award in 2024. The guy made 33 starts, right? And it was rumored last year, like, hey, Cubs were interested, whatever. And then July, he signed a 2-year, $46 million extension with Kansas City. Doesn't mean he couldn't still be traded. He's a winner, though, 64 and 47 in his career. 3.49 ERA. He's not overpowering, but he throws a lot of different pitches. He did get shut down at the end of September with a lower back strain, and he was off to another great season. He had a 2.67 ERA up until July 8th, and then all of a sudden you could tell something was wrong. A 9.11, right? 9.11 ERA in his last 6 starts. And, he was struggling throwing strikes, had a high walk rate and all that stuff, and they shut him down. But he's someone that I could see the rumors being true. I mean, they kept talking about it, and he's someone that could definitely help the team. And I think Kansas City's an organization that they trade guys like this to get young talent. The Cubs have some young talent. Who would you give up to get him? I don't think you would give up Jackson Wiggins in a deal for him, but I think you would give up something. And sometimes too, those teams will get rid of salary in a deal like that. Now, the other guy, Carlos Estevez, is a guy who would be really interesting for the Cubs. He's a closer, 3-pitch guy. He's got a fastball, slider, and changeup. Kind of has like a similar arm angle, but throws different speeds, and it keeps guys off balance. Fastball is like 97, so I'd call that high leverage. The changeup's 84, so you're talking about a big difference between those. Throws a lot of fly balls, line drives, but even as a guy that at times gives up some hard contact, it's pretty good still. 90, 14th percentile in average exit velocity. And, like the average, I guess, of balls that are put in plays like 90, which is pretty high, but he still has an ability to get outs. And what's really cool is that he is a closer. And you look at his numbers. Last year, he had 42 saves. He was with Colorado for a while. I feel like we talked about him in the past, maybe at the trade deadline, but 124 saves in his career. Last year was a career high with 42, had 31 for the Angels and 23, but he's got, he's got great stuff, could be gettable for the Cubs, and they're going to be looking for options to add arms to this rotation and try to get this team better. And that's an easy assumption to make. And Kansas City would be a good trade partner. And the other guy too, maybe the Cubs are interested in adding an infielder, like a really good utility guy. Who would that be? Would they be interested in Jonathan India, who came over from the Reds a couple of years ago? The reports are maybe. They traded for Willie Castro, but it was a rental, so now they got to go out there and try to replace that if it's something that they want. And, we'll see kind of how it all shakes out. But anyway, still reading more on the potential of adding Kyle Schwarber. Some reports are like, hey, why would the Cubs pay all of that money for a DH? But I think that they're in this. I do. I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me. The marketing aspect of it is a business. The guy is a difference maker. Makes your lineup better. You don't end up with Kyle Tucker. And what about Moises Ballesteros? We'll trade him. Trade him and get something good back for him. If you had Kyle Schwarber, then you might not need him. And it would hurt to trade a good player like that. But sometimes you got to do that to make your team good now. The Cubs are, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure this out if the Cubs are serious about signing Kyle Tucker. Jesse Rogers doesn't seem to think so. He's been right on a lot of stuff. They might have they might not have the taste to spend, hundreds of millions of dollars on a guy that was hurt for a chunk of the season last year, but he is a huge difference maker and he makes your team better. So anyway, thank you guys for being on the show. Love talking to you again. Appreciate all of you. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Share with your friends, and even if they're Cardinals fans. It's the off season. Let's all just try to get together and enjoy postseason baseball. because it's what we got right now. And, you know, we're close to starting the World Series, which is nice. Talk to you tomorrow.